Und manchmal wir machen unseren Privatfrieden zwischeneinander. Nicht, wir erwarten nicht für die Politik zu verstehen, wie man liebt oder muss sein, aber manchmal kommen die Lösungen nur mit Empathie und Freundschaft. I have one daughter and she's 6 years old, and in the start it was really hard because you cannot hide it, so I had to tell her that there's a war. I believe that now the only answer to what's happening there with the war, with militias fighting an army, with after the massacre and the rape and the kidnapping, our only message it will be through solidarity and through creating a binational space. Für mich das war wie eine Kerze im Dunkel. Das bringt eine Kerze in ein dunkles Raum, ein Zimmer bringt so viel Licht.
How is it to be a father, having a little child in these days after October 7?
It's a challenge. It's a lot of hard moments, a lot of things that you have to contemplate, how you can channel them to the kids. I have one daughter and she's 6 years old, and in the start it was really hard because I mean she's happy and I felt very sad about what happened in Israel, and then you cannot hide it, so I had to tell her that there's a war and that we worry about the people in Israel, but they are in Haifa, so they are far away from the real war. She wanted to watch the war, and I told her that it's not a good thing to watch. And since then I try to sometimes tell her a little bit more, but not too much. But I think it comes out from the surrounding connection to my family in Israel, to her friends here in Berlin, to the kids, the Israeli kids or Israeli German kids, the Israeli from mixed families, that we're meeting once in 2 weeks to talk Hebrew together, the kids with their teacher for 3 hours. And so, so suddenly this kid that lived all her life here in Berlin, suddenly a new concept goes to her head about the war and about warring when we can go to Israel. Today I told her she met a German poet that I know, Marie Bernhard, and she was living in Haifa. So Elisha, my daughter, she asked her, so you came to Berlin because of the war, you know? And she said, no, I also was born here in Germany, so I just came home.
You also mentioned in this article that your life in the diaspora has changed. What was your idea anyway to come to Germany or to go away from Israel, let's say? And why do you feel it has changed?
Just a few years ago I created a huge project here that tried to imagine the unimaginable about doing that one day there will be peace between Israel and Palestine, and then we'll see the rise of the Middle East Union, and we got the grant from the Berlin Senate to do it a 4-day festival that was open in the Babylon Kino in Mitte. And most of the artists were Arab diaspora and Jews from the diaspora. And people trust me, I trust them. They know that I'm a progressive Jew and that I have opinions and a vision. And I use the diasporic situation in order to meet these people that I cannot meet in everyday life. People from Iran, people from Gaza, people from the old countries that I cannot go even as my heritage, because you know my mother comes from Iraq. So people from Iraq, for instance, I can meet them here. I cannot meet them in Iraq because I'm in exile from Iraq as a Jew. And so I use the power of the diaspora to create something that maybe it's impossible to do it back there, because Israelis don't meet with the Gaza people or with other diasporic Arab exile people. And then in one moment, you know, the tension goes back and it's harder to create dialogue. But other than that, I have a vision, you know, and my vision is clear. And I even say to my Palestinian artists, my vision is that in front of the violence of the Hamas and later in front of what's happening in Gaza with the amount of civilians are dying every day, that the only answer is solidarity between Israelis and Palestinians, to not lose this voice, the vision that if we do something in the present, it inflicts about the past and the future of the area. And we have to do it here also, because we can meet here. Okay, there you can understand that now after what happened, maybe there's no trust from Israelis in Palestinians, and Palestinians don't trust Israelis after more than 20,000 people dead. But here we are sharing the city shares us. We are influence the city, and the city influences us. We are meeting in the everyday life, and we're meeting in our artistic life. And so I was invited to some residency, I won't say the name now, to read with Palestinians. And the Palestinians heard that another Israeli comes, and they said, no, we want to do it alone. And they canceled the event with me. And they said, sorry, the place. And then the Palestinians artists, they sent me an email. They said, well, we see that you are a progressive Jew, and it's hard for us, but we want to be alone because we're feeling that the whole German space are cancelling our voices and eliminating them, and we want to empower ourselves. But I answered them, I truly understand you, and as I believe that that you're allowed to be empowered by other Palestinians writers and to read alone. It was the last event of the residency place. Or as much as I believe that sometimes women want to read alone and not with men, or other conflicts, okay? I believe that now the only answer to what's happening there with the war, with militias fighting an army, with after the massacre and the rape and the kidnapping, our only message, it will be through solidarity and through creating a binational space, not from hierarchies, although we're not coming from the same story, and maybe there's a lot of differences between us, and I recognize the differences. You know, Palestinians, they don't have a passport. But even though we have to do it, and we have to create it, and to create this symbolic place, and to try to talk.
In dem ersten Artikel, den du in der Berliner Zeitung geschrieben hast, hast du erzählt, dass du auch Backgammon gespielt hast.
Ja.
Am 7. Oktober. Vielleicht kannst du noch mal erzählen, mit wem hast du Backgammon gespielt? Ja. Und habt ihr das Spiel irgendwann wieder aufnehmen können bisher?
Ja, also damals, ich habe meine Kaffee getrunken in Kaffeetisch bei Neukölln, und das war mein Lieblingskaffee. Und da ich habe kennengelernt einen Mann aus Gaza. Wir hatten eine bekannte Freunde und so nach paar Mal, dass wir getroffen hat, er hat gefunden, dass ich mag Backgammon, und er mag auch Backgammon, und wir gespielt hat zusammen Backgammon miteinander, jedes Mal wir getroffen hat. Und danach hat auch mir gezeigt, wie man spielt Machbusa. Das ist eine andere Art von Backgammon, ist ein kompliziertes Spiel. Und das war unser Ritual sozusagen. Manchmal wir reden über Kleinigkeiten, über Leben wie Ausländer in Neukölln. Meine Deutsch war nicht so gut, aber manchmal wir ein bisschen Arabisch, Englisch, ein bisschen Deutsch geredet hat, und diese kleine Freundschaft ist so kaum in unserem Leben. natürlich in Palästina, in Israel, weil es gibt keine regelmäßige Treffen. Manchmal auch die Palästinenser, die wohnen in Israel, die 48 Palästinenser, nicht die von 67 von der Westbank. Aber mit Gaza, es gibt keine Kontakt zwischen israelischen Leuten und palästinensischen Leuten, weil es gibt Grenzen und es gibt keinen diplomatischen Kontakt. Und so, wir hatten nicht geredet über Politik oder manchmal er hat mir gesagt, wo er gekommen hat und was war seine Geschichte, und ich auch ein bisschen erzählt über meine Geschichte. Meine Mutter kommt aus Bagdad und meine arabische Verbindung zu den Nahost und so. Aber für mich das war wie eine Kerze im Dunkel. Das bringt eine Kerze in ein dunkles Raum, ein Zimmer bringt so viel Licht, und für mich, das bringt mir bis heute Licht zu meiner Seele, weil wir sind alle Menschen und unsere Regierungen und unsere Vorherren gefunden nicht einen Weg zu wohnen miteinander oder Zusammenhalten oder was wir teilen zusammen, und manchmal wir machen unseren Privatfrieden zwischeneinander. Wir erwarten nicht für die Politik zu verstehen, wie man liebt oder muss sein, aber manchmal kommen die Lösungen nur mit Empathie und Freundschaft. It was really hard in Israel. There was another we fight in 2011 for social justice, and then came another right-wing government, another war with the Hamas. The missiles fell again next to my house in south of Tel Aviv, and I said, that's it, I have to take some time off. But today I think it's much more deep. I think I lived in such a tense place and in a conflict zone, and I had the privilege to go away. And once I found the way out, I wanted to stay here. So, for instance, my wife, she got a postdoc in Israel, and I was fighting with her not to go because I thought before I knew what the Hamas done, but I had a feeling that something bad will happen last year. And because I saw war with the jihad and missiles from the Hezbollah and from Syria, and terror attacks in Tel Aviv. It was all in the last year, from March until the summer. And in the end, she convinced, and she said, "Okay, we're not going." We went just for 1 month to visit my family in August, and I went for a conference to read my poems in September. And then came October, and October changed the whole life in the diaspora. It brought the tents from there to here, because when the conflict is burning in Gaza and in Israel, also the diasporic communities are feeling it with fear, with tension, with anxiety. And a few days after the attack, there was a Molotov cocktail just not far away from here in Brunnenstraße, I think, on the Chabad community. And you know, my daughter, she's going to Zaman. It's a center not far away from it if you go forward. And so, of course, everybody were afraid afterwards that we will have more attacks. But I never stopped doing the things I do. For instance, I went to the synagogue in Frankenhof and I gave a Dvar Torah, a Torah portion, or I continue to speak Hebrew in the streets with my daughter, and I don't want to change the way I go in Berlin. I don't. If it will change, it maybe will make me think about why do I stay here, because I see Berlin as my city, as I belong to it, and it belongs to me.
You also said in the article, in this new article, well, a family WhatsApp group is a big problem right now.
Yeah. So, you know, first of all, I don't share my political opinions, and I try to evade and to not be too critical about things I see, because the people in Israel are they feel rightly so, that they're under attack after the massacre and the rape and the hostages, the kidnaps of the hostages. And so we might to criticize a lot of their feelings of things, but there's a limit to that. Once one of the relatives shared a picture where you see soldiers happy, but they wrote on the shells of the tanks to destroy Gaza, and I said to one of the family members who shared it, they said, well, listen, it's you wanted to share this because you care about the soldiers, I understand that, it's okay, but you didn't, but look what they wrote behind, and now I don't agree with that because there are so many innocent people in Gaza and they didn't vote for the Hamas, for the dictatorship of the Hamas, and they shouldn't die, and we should commemorate their life and try to protect them as much as we can. And so they deleted it, and they understood it. And once in another group, there was another joke about the war, and I had again to count until 10, not to be angry. And I said to the guy who is a funny guy, I said, listen, you are funny a lot, but this joke about the Palestinians, and it's not good here. It's not. People are dying now from this war, and they are innocent. And it's. Please delete it because it's a group of parents of, and so he deleted it. But yeah, I actually I got from once my family told me, please take off, not take off, but remember that like your name is our name, and so I try to be as much as I can to, if I write, to be empathic as I can, not to do what social media sometimes asks us to do, to show us our anger or this pleasure from things that's happening at the conflict. So yeah, it's harder, and it's just the tip of the iceberg, I think, because war makes the society very nationalistic and militaristic, and they don't want to have opposition at the time of a war. They feel that every oppositional voice is a betrayer, and so I have more, I think, I have more stage as a diasporic Jew today in Germany or even in Denmark and other places, Latvia, than in Israel, I think, because we have different point of views today, you know. But still, I think, it's harder to be here when there's a war because you worry about the people you love and you feel shame when you're not with them. But we have to be happy. You know, he told me that 2 days ago. I went to a party and I met a Palestinian singer that I really like, and she told me that, Mati, we have to be happy. We shouldn't forget that